Hello, Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. Happy New Year. We're in that weird sort of middle part where no one knows what's up, what's down, what's north, what's south. No one knows anything. The days feel like nights, nights feel like days. Everything's confused. But you know what we've always got? We've always got movies. We've always got TV entertainment, which is one of my favourite things in the world. So I love talking about it so much. So I'm going to do another one of these extra long super duper episodes. This is episode 2, I guess, of the Popcorn King show, or whatever you want to call it. I should probably come up with a name for it. So what am I going to talk about first? Squid Game Season 2. It dropped. It came out very recently, and I binged it because Netflix do the binge model, which I love. For me, binge model is perfect. I know it probably doesn't get the most, I don't know, week after week after week sort of snowball effect of people talking about it and then people like watching it and just and like recommending it to friends. I know that doesn't happen as much, but for me, binge is just perfect. I love it. I love sitting down and watching like 7 whole hours of content and being like, what a great story, a 7-hour long story that was perfect for me. So what is Squid Game about? If you saw season 1, it's about this game where hundreds of, I'm going to read the synopsis off IMDb. Hundreds of cash-strapped players accept a strange invitation to compete in children's games. Inside, a tempting prize awaits, but with deadly high stakes. It's basically a survival game. So if you saw the first season, I won't give any real spoilers here, but the first season, you get introduced to the games. We follow this very poor guy as our main central protagonist, and he enters the games, and he very quickly realizes that if you lose the games, you die. But if you win, you get to go on to the next round, and the more people die, the more prize money gets added. And it's, I don't know the proper conversion rate because it's like, it's like hundreds of thousands of Korean won, or like millions of Korean won. And I don't know what the conversion rate is because I'm like, oh my God, that's loads. And then someone's like, that doesn't even cover off half my debt. And I'm like, okay, I have no idea what I have no idea what the conversion rate is at all, but it seems really high to me. So in the first season, we followed our protagonist to the end, and he was the winner. And he decides to try go back to the Squid Games because he wants to out the Squid Games, and that's sort of where we start off. He wants to sort of, find who's the head of the Squid Games and be like, you bitch, and then kill him probably, or arrest him. So what did I think of season 2? It was a slow burn. The first 3 episodes, it takes 3 episodes before you get into the actual games. And those are the most nail-biting, on-the-seat moments. Like, if you've watched it, you're like, this is insane. Like, I don't know why this is so popular. Probably because the stakes are so high here, but it's so intense to watch. And they're just children's games. But, when the stakes are so high, it's insane to watch these. But yeah, this season takes like 3 whole episodes to get there. If I'm honest with you, it was a slog for me, the first 2 episodes. But, it pays off, in my opinion, because you're learning a lot about life, about this world that they've created, about how difficult it is to find. And I sometimes feel that way. I don't know about you, but like, I sometimes feel there's a world that the rich, the super rich live in, and it's around me somewhere here in London, but I don't have the knowledge to find out where it is. But I sometimes get the sense that there is this whole other world, and I'm just like so oblivious to it, and I can't ever see it. I can't ever find it. It's like a cat with the internet. Like, the cat just doesn't. It has no concept of the internet. I feel like that almost. I'm like, there's this rich world of rich like people and sordid things, and every so often we sort of get a glimpse into it with like, oh, P Diddy, or like, oh, and this is really sort of playing at that. So yeah, the first 3 episodes, he's just trying to find it again because he wants to go back there. And yeah, that's it is kind of interesting in the end, because even though I was like, I want to get to the games, I want to get to the games, it is like, damn, it's so powerful and so big that they can just hide in plain sight. They can just be completely hidden from us normal people. And so, yeah, the social commentary game is so strong here. Um, and yeah, when they get into it and they're there and they're playing the games and everyone's realizing the consequences and they get to vote, there's this thing you get to do where you can vote whether or not to stay in these games or just split the cash that has accumulated between all of you and go, or you keep playing. And whoever votes them like to leave, whoever votes the most either to leave or to stay wins, and everybody has to follow it. And it's like, surely everybody would just go, well, I could die, so this isn't worth it. So I guess I'll vote to leave. But damn, people who are strapped for cash, you don't understand how far they'll go. People who are deprived and people who are stomped on by society, people who are sort of left to life of crime and drugs. These people who are in debt, the heaviness of that debt, it's like death is probably better than the heaviness of this world on my shoulders. And yeah, you just really get a sense of it. And there's such South Korean sensibilities in this movie that I just love. Like, there's just a slight difference in personality for South Koreans. I've been to South Korea a couple of times. I've watched a lot of South Korean TV and a lot of South Korean movies. And yeah, I really love their sensibilities, their idea of humor, and their idea of shock and stuff. It's just a tiny bit different to what our sort of Western idea of that is. And I love it. It's even like, I find it so refreshing and exciting to see that humor. It's like, this is crazy. This is, to me, it's really slapsticky, for example, that you wouldn't really see in a really high budget sort of thriller in the West. But yeah, it's kind of the slapstickiness about it. And yeah, I just think they did it again, and it leaves on the biggest cliffhanger, the cliffhanger to end all cliffhangers. You're just like, what? It's just, it's 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 just amazing. Like, every single episode, you're like, I need to turn on the next episode. I have to. There's no way I'm going to be able to sleep. I'm not going to be able to sleep until I see what the next thing is. And the whole season ends on a big cliffhanger as well. So, Lord knows when season 3 is coming out. I know the creator was like, I just wanted to do season 1 or one and done, but I'm really just here to get paid because I didn't really get paid much for the first season. And the creator was just like, I'm going to make the second season basically for money. But he's done it so well. Like, his storytelling ideas are so good. And I can't wait for the third season. And then maybe after the third season, maybe we'll branch out to different countries, different places in the world of Squid Game. Maybe Squid Game happens in Spain. Maybe Squid Game happens in Australia. So yeah, I just thoroughly recommend this film. And let me know what you thought of it. If you've seen it, please let me know in the comments down below. Next is Saturday Night. I finally saw Saturday Night. So Saturday Night is the new Gabriel LaBelle movie, starring Gabriel LaBelle, or Gabriel, I don't know. Directed by Jason Reitman, and then it's got like a whole like litany of famous actors in this film. And I just so happy I got to use the word litany. We've got like Dylan O'Brien in there, Lamorne Morris, we've got Finn Wolfhard. It's like all these TV actors, Nicholas Braun, all these TV actors have sort of come together to make the ultimate movie. So what did I think, or what is this film about, Saturday Night? So at 11:30 p.m. on October the 11th, 1975, not the band, the year, a ferocious troupe of young comedians and writers changed television forever. Find out what happened behind the scenes in the 90 minutes leading up to the first episode of SNL, Saturday Night Live, the first broadcast. So, what did I think of this film? It was really good fun. actually. Really, really good fun, really quick, and witty, and fast, and frantic, and you're just like, you're short of breath this whole film because it's kind of done in real time. And, it's a bit like 24, the series. It's done in real time. You're watching the real 90, like a film lasts 90 minutes basically, and you're watching that 90-minute. It starts 90 minutes before the first broadcast and it ends just as the first broadcast begins. And it's that 90 minutes, and you're just watching it. It's just sort of almost live. And the amount of things that can go wrong leading up to a show. I've put on shows before. I've done shows at Edinburgh Fringe Festival that I've written, and everything can go wrong on that first show. You know everything that you need to like sort out and reorganize. And like I've done loads of that stuff. That stuff happened all over my life. It happens all the time, and yeah, it's really fun to watch this happening for this movies. It's sort of one location as well, which I really like. It is a bit like watching a play, if I'm honest with you. This could be a really good play because plays are often just, this one place, this one sort of set, and you just watch it, and they don't often do. I mean, some plays do time jumps, obviously, but you can imagine a play not needing to do time jumps because you're just watching the people on stage, and yeah, this could be a really good play almost. I do have some quibbles. Number one, I'm English. I'm British. I know I look Latino because my dad's Latino, but my mum's British and I grew up living with my mum. And that makes me British, I would say. And I don't know SNL very much. We don't really have that here. We have our own sort of sketch shows and comedians and things, and I enjoy very much our version of those things, but I'm not sure what we've got which is closest to SNL because that's done with like a live studio audience. But yeah, we've got a lot of that kind of stuff, But this, I have to say, the clips I see of SNL, I don't find massively funny. Maybe it's past its heyday. I don't know. But even the clips in this film, when they were, I guess, recreating and reenacting some SNL sketches, I'm like, is this for 4-year-olds? Is this 4-year-old comedy? Like, it's silliness. And I know John Belushi is of a different time, and that big, big comedy was really big back then. And, I used to love Jim Carrey and stuff like that. But yeah, in the 21st century, I guess, 2024, we're here and I'm watching it and I'm like, this is silly. It's like a bit childish, this comedy. This whole like, I'm gonna fall over and be silly. Yeah, I, I don't want to get loads of hate here, but SNL is not very witty. It's not very funny. It feels like what it is, which is very quickly thrown together without much sort of thought or intelligence behind it. And yeah, I don't mean to. I know this film isn't SNL, obviously, so I don't mean to make this a review of SNL, but if SNL is a sort of weekly thing where they've barely got any time to write their sketches, they've barely got any time to rehearse and stuff, and it's just all thrown together and very gobbledy-gloopy like that, I can kind of see it. I'm like, what is this? The punchlines aren't very strong. The acting is way over the top, like it's way big. And yeah, I don't know. Is it supposed to be funny? I mean, maybe I'm about to get all this hate here, but it's just not funny. But back to this film. The film isn't SNL. The film is another thing entirely. And some of the performances in this film are wonderful. Like I say, the ticking clock leading up to it is kind of breathless. I feel the stress of the guy running it, or the Gabriel LaBelle character, or the actor who plays what's the name of his? Oh, Lorne Michaels. I'm just like, damn, that looks stressful. To have all of this material. I mean, I really do relate to, there's a bit where he's looking at all the different sketches he's got in this show, and he's like, this is what, like an hour long show, and we've got about 2 hours worth of stuff that we're meant to squeeze in. Can you quickly cut down your part into like one line? Can you quickly cut down your sketch into like 30-second long? Like, it's just, I've been in those situations and I really relate to that. And yeah, his sort of trying to keep positive but knowing that the world is falling down around him. Like, I've been there. I've definitely been there, and I think he was really, really great in that role. I actually really do recommend this film. I think this film is quick and sharp and just on it. All these actors are really, really, they feel like a big band, a big group. I saw even Corey Henry was in the cast at one point playing the pianos, and Corey Henry is one of the most amazing sort of organ jazz fusion players ever. He's a wonderful, and he was just in this film a little bit. What's his name? Lamorne Morris, whatever his name is. Lamorne? I don't want to say Lamorne. What's his name? Oh yeah, it is Lamorne Morris. He's had such a great year, wasn't he? Fantastic in the newest what do you call it, Fargo. I think he won the Emmy for that earlier on this year. Amazing. Lamorne Morris is wonderful, and in this he's so silly and funny, and I just thought he was great. The guy playing Chevy Chase was really good. I really, like I say, I really recommend this film. Don't recommend SNL though. So I don't think I'll ever watch it. Whenever I see a clip of it, I'm like, this is for 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds maximum, with bad language. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Oh, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, here we go. Maria. I finally watched Maria. Maria is the new Angelina Jolie movie starring Angelina Jolie. And it is directed by Pablo Larraín. He's the one who did that Jackie film, that Spencer film, and this is sort of like a trilogy of these very influential, powerful, and incredible women. These biographies, I guess. And he's got a very specific way to do these biopics. And so what is this film about? So this film is about Maria Callas, the world's greatest opera singer, debatable, and how she lives the last days of her life in 1970s Paris as she confronts her identity and life. What do I think of this film? First off, I studied opera. I've done a lot of opera shows in my life. Toured around France doing opera as well, and I've put a lot of my life into opera, if I'm honest with you, and I know firsthand, as someone who loves the craft, how boring opera can be. Opera is long, it's arduous, it's melodramatic, and it's often, unfortunately, performed by people who aren't the world's strongest actors, you know? Opera is really about the music, but when you go and watch it, you are watching a story being shown to you, but they really just try to present the story through the music, the classical music. And yeah, like sometimes the acting's a little on the weird side, I have to say. I mean, that's not necessarily a downside. They're not trained as actors. They train every last minute to singing, you know, and that's why it's some of the best singing in the whole world. I'm just saying, some of these operas are very long. Mozart, I was in The Marriage of Figaro. I feel like that's 4 hours long. It's way too long. It's silly. So this film is about opera a lot. It's a lot about opera and singing, and so I would also say that unfortunately this film is a bit boring. I'm sorry, I find it boring. In fact, I will go so far as to say this trilogy of these sort of very influential women that Pablo Larraín has directed, I find them all a bit boring. They're all a bit internal, I think is the best word to describe it. They're all a bit like, let's really contemplate and stew in these things. And that's wonderful. Like, I understand it's a different type of biopic. it's barely a biopic, really. It's more like a exploration to the human condition, exploration to minds and brains and the way humans think. And yeah, we've got this lady, Maria Callas, and it's performed spectacularly by Angelina Jolie. Like, don't get me wrong, the film is clearly really good, but it's just a bit boring. I find it, there's no, the stakes never feel like they're there properly. There's too much time spent on just sort of atmospheric kind of, this is the world, this is her world at the moment. And it's not necessarily the most story driven piece. It's obviously definitely a character driven piece. And you all know that I love story driven pieces more. But I can love a character driven piece. You know, I really can love character driven movies where there isn't much story. You know, I love Pulp Fiction, one of my favorite films of all time. But yeah, this film is just it's a bit stagnant. It's a bit, and I get it. I don't want to be too mean because I actually get it, and I think some bits of it are like really marvelous. Let's sit down and like really feel what it's like to be with Maria at this time. Let's just sit down and enjoy the quietness of that. I get that. But as a piece of sort of entertainment that I watch, I'm just like, oh, I'm getting distracted. I'm looking at my phone a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm not enveloped, unfortunately. I want to be enveloped, but I'm not enveloped. I really, like I say, I haven't liked any of the films in this trilogy, unfortunately. I think this film is performed wonderfully. It's sung magnificently. I love some of the sounds in this movie because it's beautiful opera music. But yeah, much like opera, it's quite boring and quite dull, which is a shame. I'm really sorry. I don't want these episodes to be me hating on stuff, and yeah, I don't want to. I don't want people to just watch me talk about things that I don't like. I don't like doing that as much as talking about things that I love. But I have to say what I see, and what I saw was a big, boring pile of creative sort of genius, I guess, in a way. So, yeah, I mean, in a way, I recommend it. If you liked his other ones, it's similar. It's very similar. It's those sort of very contemplative films. But not for me. Not for me at all. I was not captivated by this film in the slightest, unfortunately. But tell me what you thought in the comments below. I would love to know what your bloody brain is thinking about this film. And that is that. Black Dove. So, Black Dove or Black Doves, sorry. Black Doves is the new Keira Knightley series starring Keira Knightley. It's a Netflix series, spy, espionage, undercover, criminal, hitmen, all that kind of stuff. So basically, Helen embarks on a passionate affair with a man who has no idea what her secret identity is, caught in the crosshairs when her lover falls victim to the dangerous London underworld. This series was wonderful. I loved it. It's full of fun, exciting twists. Some twists you see coming, of course. Some twists you don't. You're like, oh, okay. And yeah, they keep coming. They keep hitting you over the head, and it's just like great, awesome. Every episode you're learning something new. The characters in this are so well realized. Ben Whishaw is just he needs an Oscar one day. He is such a good actor. He's so good he can play anything. He can play absolutely anything. And he's this super competent hitman. He's back, and it's mainly about Keira Knightley, but I actually just love the Ben Whishaw part. He's back in London. His old sort of gay lover comes back into the mix, and yeah, it's just so full of of great acting, fun performances. Keira Knightley, it's probably the best I've ever seen Keira Knightley, if I'm honest with you. Like, she was really good in Begin Again, obviously Love Actually, but I don't know, she just never really stood out to me as an actress. But in this, perfectly cast. There's so many wonderful, great sort of British actors in this series, um, and yeah, this film is full to the brim of interesting, diverse characters, and by diverse I mean like diversity. There's not really any cis sort of white male protagonists in this film. There's none. There's no sort of competent white male in this film who's straight. You've got, you know, you've got these strong women who sort of running this underworld. Like at the top of every sort of organization seems to be a very strong woman. You've got Ben Whishaw, who's obviously gay. He's gay, and there's lots of gay people in this film, in this series, and that's what's so good about this. I mean, some people talk about sort of shoehorning in diversity and how it's such a deliberate sort of political move. But I don't think it is. Firstly, I think entertainment companies like Netflix are apolitical, by which I mean they'll make a series about anything as long as they believe it will make money. They don't really give a shit about the politics. And at this moment in time, a lot of the world are realizing that there's a lot of women, there's a lot of gay people, there's a lot of people out there who want to see themselves represented in the shows that have only ever been representing sort of white straight people since the beginning of movie entertainment in the West. And it's like, okay, that's great. There's lots of great shows. Like I watched this year, what's it called? Day of the Jackal. Although he's not necessarily, is he straight in that, or just a really dedicated sort of undercover spy person who does gay things? I don't know. But in this one, you know, yeah, we're telling stories from perspectives of other people who don't get represented in stuff very often. And it's like fucking great. That means we've got stories, we've got a whole litany. I've said litany again. We've got a whole litany of stories to tell now from different perspectives. It's not just James Bond or Ethan Hunt or Jason Bourne. It's not the same old, almost identical looking people playing the same sort of characters. Now we've got new people playing those characters and the new sort of stuff that it brings to those characters, and it really should be celebrated because we're pushing diversity at the moment, because obviously Netflix wants to make money, and they know they'll make money if this giant group of people in this world are watching something that they feel represented in. And it's like, great, we've got a whole litany of new stories to tell, and we can jump back into our favorite genres and our favorite style of stories, and add in these new characters as our protagonists and our leads. And we've got these, and we can always have the other one as well. Like, there's room for everything out there. We just want to tell as many different stories as possible, surely. You don't just want to have the same cis white male being the hero of everything ever. Like, that's happened for like 100 years now. Like, okay, that's great. I've really enjoyed a lot of James Bond films, and I love Jason Bourne, and I love John Wick. John Wick's one of my favourite films ever, and I fucking adore Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise and stuff. But they're a bit similar. Let's mix it up a bit. Let's have some fun. And this series is really just wonderful to watch. You get to see all this diversity, and it's a different flavour within this genre, and that's wonderful to see. Like, I will never understand people who just think, oh, this is political. Why are you shoving this down our throats? You're political left wing. It's not that at all. It's just another story. And it's really good. Like, seriously, watch this. It's wonderful. It's probably going to be in my top 10 series of the year. I just thought, I just thought it was great. Seriously, you guys should watch it. And watch Day of the Jackal as well. Okay. I am going to end this episode with, and I guess this is, other than Black Doves and also Squid Game. I'm going to be talking about my worst, or what I believe to be the worst films, the top 10 worst films of 2024. So this is my least favorite films of 2024, and I have to go in number 10. If you want to rewind all the way back to near the very beginning of the year, there was a little film called Night Swim. Night Swim is just the epitome of horror, has the horror genre run out of ideas. Because Night Swim is, I kid you not, about a swimming pool that eats people. It's a swimming pool that, if you go in it, it will eat you and kill you. And and the whole way through the film, you're just like, don't go in the pool. Then the film can end after 1 minute of this film. Don't go in the pool. But they've just got to contrive endless reasons of why people have to keep the same family. It's not like it's a new person and a new person. It's the same family that keep getting into this evil pool that's eating them. Oh, you just want to go, wow, they're stretching here when it comes to ideas. So that's my number 10. And it just gets worse from here, guys. And number 9 was The Crow. The remake. I've seen the first, the original, and I remember it being really good. My friend is like one of his favorite films of all time. But this remake was just the paint by numbers action nothingness that you'd sort of expect from like the mid noughties, maybe. Like, it didn't really feel like it belonged in 2024, I have to say. This film just felt weird. It wasn't interesting. The action wasn't that good, and all in all, I was like, I'll never want to see this film again. It might have even made me never want to watch the original again. That's how bad it was. That was my number 9, The Crow. Number 8, we got Ordinary Angels. I don't know if you guys saw this one. I've got my review of this one out there. It's one of those Christian sort of ish films. And it's just not good. I stated out my reasons why I don't even think this is very Christian at all, because it's about a girl who's needs doctors and hospital appointments in the US, but that costs, it's so expensive. But the dad whose wife has recently died is in debt already with his wife's bills, and they're all dying of natural causes. And so in the end, I'm just like, didn't God do all this? Didn't God ruin your lives? Like, why are you praying to God? And why is sort of the idea of faith and stuff the hero in this film, when to me it's the very thing that it started all of it, I presume God invented cancer when he was just sort of thinking of things to put in this world. He was like, I know what I should give to these people. Cancer. So yeah, not good at all. Didn't enjoy it. Number 7, Anyone But You. It's a shame that that's my number 7, because it's at the moment, one of my highest viewed reviews. Obviously super popular. Got the two sort of now, sort of the it people of now, with these two very beautiful couple, and it's just the acting is so bad. I remember when rom-coms used to be wonderful. Do you remember 10 Things I Hate About You? Like, that rom-com was so good. And even if you want to do sort of slightly raunchier rom-coms, things like Wedding Crashers, I was loving that. But these days, sometimes I see rom-coms and I'm like, this is really stale, the idea of rom-coms at the moment. They need to bring it back. Like, I thought when we had I don't know, 500 Days of Summer, I thought, okay, we're going into a new era of rom-com. But no, we're back in this sort of weird, very badly acted style of rom-coms that I'm just not enjoying at the moment. They need to buck their ideas up. Number 6, I've got the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong film, Trap. A lot of people love this film. This is in some people's top 10s that I've seen this year so far. But for me, it was god awful. It was exposition city. It was, hey, let me tell you exactly how to do this thing for no reason whatsoever. And the guy's like, that's exactly the information I needed. Thank you. And then he was like, it's just so ridiculous. Like, humans don't talk in this way at all. When I watch it, I'm like, ugh, show, don't tell, please. Show, don't tell, show, don't tell, show, don't tell. Rule 1. So I'm sorry. I know lots of people really liked it. I guess the cinematography was good at some moments, but for me, I couldn't stand it. I was just like, that's silly film. At number 5, oh, these films are so bad. These films are bad, man. Borderlands. Do I need to say more? That film was just actual crap. Apart from Bobby Lee, I love Bobby Lee, so he can do no wrong. That was number 5, Borderlands. Number 4, we got Madam Web. It gets worse than Borderlands, guys. It goes to Madam Web. And this is only number 4. Like, how bad can movies get, right? Number 4, Madam Web. That film, that whole universe does not need to exist. It's a Spider-Man universe where Spider-Man doesn't exist. And it's just pointless. It's just these stories are not worth my time watching. And I'm really sorry for anyone who loves it. I know it's all subjective, but it was just bad. And then it gets worse with my number 3, which is Kraven the Hunter. Jeez, the same universe as Madam Web. I guess they belong in the same universe because this is just a universe of shit films. So don't watch Kraven the Hunter. Number 2, there was a so-called horror film called The Watched. And it was silly. It was a very, very silly film. It was about being in this woods, and every night you're stuck in this sort of glass house, and all these sort of fairies watch you. And they're kind of evil. And the film is okay up until a point, and you're like, I feel like the film should end here. But it just keeps going. And you're like, we've passed the main story. The story's finished. We've left the woods even. We're somewhere else now. Why is this film still going on? You're looking around the cinema like, is this a joke? Are they just going to keep going until we leave? Like, the film ended. The story ended like an hour ago. And we're still watching this film. There's no more story to tell. Like, what? How did this deserve to be like a half an hour episode of TV, basically? And it goes on for like an hour and a half. You got a whole other, like, this end is ridiculous. I can't explain how ridiculous the ending of this film is. And I say ending, I mean the majority of this film. Because the story finishes. Anyway, don't watch The Watched. And then, number 1, the worst film of the year is, of course, you've probably guessed it, Megalopolis. Just self-important, boring crap. You sit down and you think, what the fuck was the creator of this movie thinking? Why are they talking in a weird sort of Shakespearean language? Why is every actor seemingly in a completely different film? Like, Shia LaBeouf is in some insane sort of wacky, crazy film, and then you've got Adam Driver, who's this really sort of introspective, nuanced film, and you're just like, was there no cohesion at all? Like, everything is mismatched in this film, and you're like, you get like a neck ache from going, what? I feel so mismatched. It's just Just atrocious, guys. I'm so sorry. I had to list off my worst films. I don't, like I say, I don't want this channel to be about things that I don't like. I don't want this channel to be about things I hate. But I feel it's my duty to steer you away from those films, please. Unless you're a sadomasochist, watch them if you like feeling bad. Next week, I'll do my top 10 movies of 2024. But it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. New Year's Eve is just around the corner, so Happy New Year. Get drunk, have some tequila, have some whiskey, wine, and some vodka if you so choose.